Sequences are a set of numeric or integer values between two defined points. In this video, we'll look at how to create vectors using the colon operator and also using the sequence function. Let's start by looking at the operator function using the colon operator, right? So we've already looked at this. To create a sequence of integers, we just use the colon here and we assign it to a variable x, right? So we execute this, Control Enter, we create a sequence of 10 integers. And I can also do this at the console. It's the same thing as doing that using colon. We create a sequence of vectors. Similarly here, we can create a character of alphabetic letters, right? We use these global vectors or predefined variable. Capital here means you can generate the capital letters of the alphabet, and then this will be the lowercase of the alphabet. So we use square brackets to extract what sequence you want. In this case, we want to extract from A up to letter 10. So let's see how to do that. So you can see here, we extract from A to J. Again here, using the letters lowercase, we generate the lowercase version, right? And I can actually change this to 10. Okay, so now that we've already looked at that, let's look at how to use the sequence function. So the sequence function also can be the same as using the secint function. So it takes the following arguments, right? So inside the parentheses, we have a start from. Okay, this is the starting point. From to, this is the end point. And then we say we want to increment this by 10. Okay, so when we execute that, we'll see, or rather we want to increment by 10. So you can see here from 0 to 40, we want to increment by 10, or we can space it out maybe as an increment of 5. Okay, similarly here, this achieves the same thing. We can use the sequential .int function to do the same. So we want to output the same integer sequence from 0 to 40 separated by 10. Okay. So remember, we've just explicitly told R to do this, and this just helps us, right? If you're proficient, you can just go ahead and say sequence. You want to generate numbers from 1 to 10, increment by maybe 2. You get the same result. Another argument that we can introduce here, so equidistant numeric sequence. So everything is the same here. These are double, but we just add this argument 5. So we just tell R we want to squish our data from 1.5 to 2.5, but make sure the length is 5. So if we execute that, you can see it will figure out what distances, can be generated to have a maximum number of elements that is equals to 5. Okay. Similarly here, we can generate integers. We've seen how we can just put L there to tell R that this is actually an integer. Same thing that we've seen before. We can generate those numbers separated by, or rather incremented by 10. Also, you can do create vectors, character vectors. So here we can create a character vector called states. So remember, we use the C function, double quotation mark around the text we want to use, separated by a comma, right? And then we can use this function sequential along just to return the integer sequence, right? So we pass here object, and you can see we've created here objects. It appears in the environment tab. So we have that, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. It's been assigned to these states. And then lastly here, we can use sequential length, abbreviated as this. Again, this just generates us an integer sequence. So we do that, you can see it just starts from 1 to 10. So this number is actually a variable. So, but it takes this length, natural number. So if you do that, we already have something similar to that. Okay. So you can also check more functions by just typing that, and you can review all these other different functions. Okay. Be sure to check our next video on replicating elements using the rep function.